Africa is not waiting to be saved. She's rising, my brothers and sisters. There comes a moment in life when staying quiet feels like a betrayal, not of others, but of yourself. And I've reached that moment. They told me, speak less. Don't stir the waters. Just smile, shake hands, and keep the old ways alive. But how can I pretend everything is fine when I see children walking miles to school while trucks drive past them carrying our gold, our oil, our future out of our own land? They warned me. This isn't how presidents speak, they said. This will isolate you. You'll make enemies. But I wasn't raised to serve systems. I was raised to serve people. And I cannot serve my people by staying silent while they suffer. Let me be clear. Africa is not broken. Africa is not poor. Africa is not weak. What's broken is a system built to keep us quiet, to keep us small. A system that applauds us when we obey and punishes us when we dare to dream. It builds roads to our minds, but not to our schools. Ships out profits, but leaves hunger behind. I'm not here to shout. I'm not here to divide. I'm not here to make war with the world. But I am here to speak plainly. And this needs to be said. We are done mistaking silence for diplomacy. We are done mistaking submission for peace. This is not a call to burn bridges. It's a call to build our own and decide where they lead. I'm not against any nation, not against the West, not against global partnership. But I am against dependence. I am against being told who we are by those who've never lived our story. I am against decisions made behind closed doors where no African voice is present. Yet every African life is affected. For too long, we've let others define us. They say our leaders are good if they borrow more. They say our countries are stable if they never speak up. They praise calm, even when it means we're stuck. But I believe in a different Africa. An Africa that builds, not begs. That negotiates, not kneels. That remembers her worth before asking for help. And yes, this path we've chosen, it comes with resistance. They fear what happens if one African nation rises on its feet. They fear that one bold voice might become a chorus. And they're right to worry because we are waking up. But this message isn't just for leaders. It's for the farmer whose harvest shrinks while taxes grow. It's for the graduate whose degree sits unused while promises fade. It's for the mother who walks farther for water than the government walks for her. I see you. I hear you. And I will not lie to you. Africa's healing won't come from handouts. It won't come from applause. It won't come from loans wrapped in red tape. It will come from us, from within, from courage, not convenience. From the day we finally say, we are enough. Now, in the next part of this journey, I will speak about what they don't want you to know, the real cost of global deals signed behind our backs, and why they work so hard to keep this voice quiet. But for today, hold on to this. Africa is not waiting to be saved. Africa is rising because she was never truly lost. And remember, truth doesn't need to shout. It doesn't riot. It doesn't burn. It waits, and when the people are ready, it walks in with quiet strength, and everything changes. Thank you. Africa's voice will not be borrowed. Let me be clear. Cooperation is not submission, and partnership is not permission. If we accept help, it must come with respect, not with strings. If we open our markets, it must be with we. It must be with clarity, not confusion. We must ask the hard questions. Who's investing? Who's profiting? And when the cameras are gone, who stays behind to keep it running? They told me not to bring this up. They said I'd scare away investors, that I'd undo the goodwill built over decades. But I say this. Real goodwill is not scared of the truth. Real progress does not need silence. Too often, development projects in Africa are celebrated at ribbon-cutting ceremonies. But when the music fades, we're left with broken promises, foreign ownership, and deeper dependence. Be honest. If development leaves us out, it's not development. It's a transaction. It's control. Something is shifting quietly, powerfully across our continent. A new generation is rising. They are reading the contracts, they're questioning the numbers, and they're no longer impressed just because something is stamped international. This is what no one expected, that we would wake up, that we would ask for fairness, not favors. And don't get it wrong, they're not burning with rage. They're burning with awareness. And awareness, my brothers and sisters, is the first step to freedom. So what now? We educate ourselves. We hold our own leaders accountable. We demand partnerships that bring skills, not just statistics, that bring knowledge, not just job titles. We must build institutions that serve our people, not just individuals who sign away our futures. I'm not here to point fingers, I'm here to point forward. Africa's story must no longer be written in rooms where we are absent. Our names, our voices, and our interests must be at the center, because we will live the outcome. No one will hand us this space. We must claim it with dignity, with vision, with unity. Now let me speak to the heart of this continent, to our youth. Not as a president, not as a leader, but as a father, a brother, a fellow believer in your future. They told me African youth don't care. They're too busy chasing likes, too distracted by trends. But I have seen the truth. I have seen students walk hours to attend night classes under dim lights. I've watched young farmers using apps to predict rainfall and protect their crops. I've seen nurses in dusty villages saving lives with little more than courage. I've seen coders in cyber cafes writing solutions for local problems. No headlines, no fame, just heart. The world sees you through a narrow lens, but I see you as the beating pulse of this continent. And now even those who once doubted you are beginning to understand. You are not just the future. You are the present. You are the ones asking the questions your parents were too afraid to ask. You are the ones rewriting the scripts. And that's what scares them. Not your anger, but your clarity. This is the generation flipping through history and refusing to repeat it. The generation that knows our ancestors were not weak. They were silenced. That our civilizations were not discovered, they were interrupted. And now you are restoring that story. There will be distractions. There will be noise. Entertainment without education. Fame without purpose. Influence without insight. But never forget this. You were not born to leave Africa. You were born to lead her. You were not born to imitate. You were born to inspire. Don't let your worth be measured by visas, by salaries, or by lights on a screen. Let it be measured by your impact. Build platforms. Build policies. Build peace. Because you, yes, you are the bridge between a past that was stolen and a future that will no longer be taken. Some will say, wait your turn, but I say, create your turn. Do it with patience. Do it with unity. But do it now. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start where you are, with what you have, in the name of everything that was lost and everything still worth building. Not everyone will understand you. Some will resist you. But remember this, even peaceful change feels like disruption too. Those who are too comfortable, finally, to the elders of this continent, our mothers, our fathers, our teachers, our mentors, we speak to you with deep, deep respect. You walked through fire so we could find solid ground. You endured injustice so we could speak truth. You carried Africa when she was broken. We are not here to blame you. We are here to stand on your shoulders. And from here, we will see farther. Africa rise not in silence, but in strength. We are here because of you. To the elders of this continent, the leaders, the fighters, the mothers, the fathers, we see you. Yes, some mistakes were made, some deals were signed that cost us. Some chances were missed. But who among us hasn't made a hard choice under pressure? Who among us hasn't done the best they could with what they had? You carried the weight of independence on your shoulders. You stood between colonizers and collapse. You kept this continent together even when the world gave you little space to lead. And now, as a new generation rises, we are not here to replace your legacy. We are here to build. Upon it, you see, the world likes to divide us, young versus old. But Africa doesn't need that fight. Africa needs something far more powerful, generational wisdom. We need your memory, not just to recall the past, but to guide the present. Remind us of a time when Africa stood taller. When nations stood not just with flags, but with pride. When our leaders didn't compete for favors, they stood side by side as brothers with one vision. We ask for that fire to be lit again, but we also ask something else. Let the young rise. Let them take the mic. Let them stumble. Let them learn. Let them grow. Sometimes leadership is not about holding the spotlight. Sometimes it's about stepping back and clapping for the next speaker. Sometimes it's not control that shows strength, it's trust. You led Africa through fire. Now help carry her into flight. This is not a time for fear, not a time for ego. This is a time for shared courage. As we build new systems, as we write new policies, as we imagine a new Africa, we ask for your presence in the room and your blessing to leave space for new voices to rise. Africa is not the past. Africa is not the future. Africa is now, and she belongs to all of us in this very moment. So let's walk together, let's build together, let's rise together. But let us not be naive. Not all chains are visible. Not all control comes through force. Some of it comes in silence, in currency, in contracts, in the quiet shaping of perception. There are powers that no longer raise their flags because they've learned to raise doubts. They no longer occupy lands because they now occupy lands. The mind. Let's talk about currency. How many of our nations still use money that is printed or pegged abroad? How many of us still rely on systems that weren't made for us, yet define us? If we are truly independent, then why do we still ask permission to value our own economies? Why do we pay reserves to institutions that were never built with Africa in mind? This is not rebellion. This is a question of dignity. If we are to trade as equals, we must own what we trade with. Next, let's talk about narrative. Africa has too long been defined as poor, unstable, and in need of saving. But make no mistake, these are not just words, they are weapons. Because if the world believes we are broken, they will feel entitled to fix us. On their terms, for their benefit. And we see this everywhere in the headlines, in textbooks, even in the language of diplomacy. We must reclaim our image, not with denial, but with balance. We are not just a continent with problems. We are a continent of solutions. We're not struggling to catch up, we are preparing to lead. And finally, the contracts. Across this continent, deals have been signed that stretch for generations. Mining agreements, port leases, land use, often made without transparency, without consultation, and without the consent of the people whose lives they will shape. This is not about blame. This is about reminding ourselves that sovereignty is not a slogan. It's not a flag. It's the power to decide your own destiny. You must revisit these agreements, not with hostility, but with honesty, not with vengeance, but with vision, because fairness is not anti-business, and transparency is not anti-investment. When Africa knows its worth, the world will begin to see us differently. I say all this not to divide, but to awaken. The world does not always give fairness freely, so we must demand it with calm, with clarity, and with unshakable unity. But before we ask others to treat us better, we must believe that we deserve better. Dear African brothers and sisters, we are not weak. We are not waiting. We are remembering who we are. And this time, we will not forget. Let's rise not in anger, but in awareness. Not in silence, but in strength. Not as victims of the past, but as authors of the future. Africa is not being rebuilt. Africa is being reborn. And this time, her voice will not be borrowed. Thank you. Africa's time is not coming. It's here, my sisters. You're still listening? Then know this. This message isn't just mine. It belongs to every voice that was once silenced. Every dream that was postponed. every child who was told, wait, your time will come. I want to speak now plainly, not as a president, not as a soldier, but simply as a man who still believes. I believe Africa can feed itself, not just with food, but with dignity. I believe our children can grow up learning about kings and queens who looked like them, not in fairy tales, but in history books. I believe we can heal in our own hospitals. We can build with our own engineers. We can dream and deliver. I believe in a future where a passport that says Africa opens more doors than it closes, where our borders become bridges. Where unity isn't just a word spoken on stages, but a reality we live every single day. They told me not to say this, not because it's untrue, but because it might spark something they can't contain, something dangerous, something they fear. Hope, because hope cannot be policed. Hope wakes up the farmer before dawn. Hope pushes the student to study by candlelight. Hope tells the single mother, your child will live a better life than you did. They can change policies. They can spin the headlines. But they can't bury a dream that has taken root in millions of hearts. And this is the dream that a child born in Banajo, raised in Dar, educated in Nairobi, working in Accra, will not be treated like a stranger, but as a rightful heir to the African promise. K, that we will stop begging for seats at other people's tables and build our own. K, that we will stop apologizing for wanting more and start preparing to receive it. This dream doesn't belong to me. Lives in classrooms, whispered between lessons. It's chanted in the streets, painted on murals, carried in songs. It lives in you. So I speak now to every African who has ever felt too small to matter. You are not small. To every African who has been told to wait their turn, your time is. Now, to every African who has quietly wondered, can this continent truly rise? Look around you. It already is. Yes, they warned me not to say this, but I owe you the truth. And the truth is this: Africa is not just a place. Africa is a force, a rhythm, a light that refuses to go out. So rise. Rise in thought. Rise in courage. Rise in love for one another. And when they ask, when did it begin? Tell them, it began with a whisper. That became a voice. That became a movement. And no one can stop a people who remember who they are. The time is not coming. The time is here.